Hey, this is Josh with Snapdragon Cannabis, and wanting to talk to you today about all the legislation coming down from the Tennessee Department of Agriculture and Tennessee government on a couple different things as well too. So last week we had a meeting with the Department of Agriculture. She was sitting down next to the attorney as she went over the emergency ruling that's going on, and good things and bad things to take away. Well, not really bad things. Good things to take away from it, and positive changes from a regulatory perspective, because it's so frustrating. Even for me, the day after the video went on, I went to 3 different stores in town just to talk to them and say, hey, what did y'all think about the ruling? I was so shocked to see what these places, and I don't quite often go to some of the other shops and buy products since, we already make them. I just use my stuff. But to go in and see what some of these places had, it makes 100% sense, some of the things that they did in the ruling. But the fact that we've always tried to do the right thing from the get-go, it's surprising to see how far they let it get, because there's not been any enforcement. So that's probably one of the biggest aspects of what they're pushing for now, is the enforcement part about it. So everybody, as of October 1, will have to be signed up as a dispensary in the state of Tennessee. So every location that sells products with THC in them will be a dispensary. The tax started last July, which 2 of the 3 locations I went to didn't know about the tax until a couple of days ago, so a year after. Anyways, but there's a 6% tax that started July of 2023. 3% goes to the Department of Ag, 3% goes to the Department of Revenue for any product that's sold with THC in it in the state of Tennessee. So now that everybody's getting on to be a licensed dispensary in the state, taxes will be paid. Every COA, every batch, all the rulings about those have come into play. The important aspects of that one is some of the stores that I went into the other day. I bought one of them. I bought a drink, a gummy, and I bought a little vape. Bought all the products. I was like, I want Delta 9 or THC on the products, and all the packaging said, all right, the gummy was 150 milligram for one gummy, which by regulations you can't have more than 25 now, but it was 150 milligrams of THC. The drink was 30, and the vape was like $8.99 or something. But whenever I went home, I scanned the QR code on the back of all 3 of these products. The gummy come back with no Delta 9 or THCA, which is what it said on the front, but it come back with 63 milligram of Delta 8. Didn't say anything about Delta 8 on the bag. The vape said it was THCA Diamond made with nothing else in it. Scanned the QR code. It was 80 or 81 or 82% Delta 8 on the vape. This is just a Delta 8 vape, but it did not say Delta 8 anything on there. And then the canned drink was a 30 milligram Delta 9 drink, and when you do the COA, it takes you to a 30 milligram pitcher of the same can that I had, but instead of saying Delta 9, it's 30 milligram Delta 9, but instead of saying Delta 9, it had 27.5 milligram of Delta 8 in there. So not one of these products that I purchased was anywhere close to accuracy or legitimacy. The dosages were off, the cannabinoids that were in them were off, and just nothing was right about it. So the frustrations that we've dealt with for so long, and we hear it quite often, but we don't really know the scope of it, because we know so much stuff at this gas station's a joke. But these weren't gas stations I went to; these were like legitimate hemp stores in theory, in the Chattanooga area. But so many times customers come in and they're like, "Oh, I want Delta 9 gummies." It's like, all right, cool. Here are the 10 milligram gummies, or here are the 20 milligram Delta 9 gummies, each gummy. And they're like, oh, I usually get from the store, and they're 100 milligram or 200 milligram. And it's like, no, just trust this. This isn't like the gas station type stuff. And they get our 10s or 20s, and it's way stronger than anything they've ever had before. So there's a lot of pros that we've got to being able to do stuff the right way and showcase, like, hey, this is what the future is going to be like. And now here in a few months, this will be a forced thing. So now every product sold in the state will have to be tested at a Tennessee state-approved hemp lab. So that'll be good. So there's so many things now that are like all those places I went to. Not one of those tests was in the state. They were all from company out of Washington and Colorado were the 2. I think one of them was Altitude in Colorado. I think the Washington was something with an M. Anyways, not that popular brand name labs. So the fact that all the products that are made or that are sold in the state of Tennessee will have to have Tennessee testing is huge. That's one of the biggest aspects of it. So that way when you go to one of these shops around, if it's a legitimate product at a dispensary that's following regulation the right way, you'll be guaranteed to have a consistent product. And what we've always gotten to Snapdragon, but now we're forcing everybody else to do the right thing. So that's an exciting aspect of it for sure. Along with the biggest question that everybody's waiting on, though, was the THCA flour, high THC flour. So with high THCA flour, they introduced in the meeting and said, first of all, can you grow high THCA flour in the state of Tennessee? They said no, because as of 2022 Tennessee law, they quit their grow permit for Tennessee hemp and went on the USDA hemp program. So now all the flour in Tennessee is under the USDA hemp guidelines. USDA hemp guidelines is not a guideline that was made for hemp use like the state of Tennessee intended it to be, back in 2014 to 2018 in both of the farm bills. So the USDA guidelines for this are more so for like the industrial use, the floors, the T-shirts, the hempcrete, stuff like that, making industrial use out of it, not medical or for the body type something. So just way different program. So the fact that we've probably tested, we've been growing in Tennessee since 2018. We've tested no less than 60 to 70, probably even 100 strains of flour over the years that we've grown or we've purchased, and we want to verify that this person give me a COA. I'm going to send it back to the lab and put my name on it. That way I can trust that this isn't just a test from somebody. And have only had one test that would have ever passed USDA guidelines, because USDA guidelines is 0.3% of any type of THC. The only one that passed was one that we grew. It was a CBG strain back in 2019. We did a CBG indoor, and it was like, full harvest, 8% CBG, 0.25% THC. It was a wheat flour. It was just trying to grow something. But that was the only one time we've ever got something to pass, and it was less than 10% total cannabinoid potency. It was kind of a weak strain. We've done CBG since then and got better numbers, but even those wouldn't pass. So to get something like that to pass is like a smokable hemp flour is not something that I don't think we can do in the state of Tennessee. Maybe the environments we have, the temperature we have, many factors kind of play in that. 0.3% of something's, it's a drop. So really, really hard to do. Talking with the Tennessee Department of Ag inspectors, we've grown every year. We even grew in the spring of this year, but I'm not renewing my 2024 license. Just don't have a need to right now. We're going to do our propagation license, so we'll still be able to do seeds and clones for other growers, but we're not going to do a grow for the 2024 season. But even our final post-harvest inspection in the spring of this year was our last licensed inspection that we had with the Tennessee come out. When I was talking to the inspector, somewhere between 60 to 70% of everybody that he's went to their farm and tested their product has failed. So if Tennessee doesn't change something about their way that they do their grow program, Tennessee won't have a grow program left unless it's grown for industrial, textile. And I think it'd be cool if we could get like some like Tennessee like hempcrete. If we could go build a school with this insulated, fireproof, renewable resource replacement for concrete made all out of hemp, I'm game for it. It's just that there's a company outside of San Elmo that's doing. I met him at the 420 Fest in Miller Park this year, and he's doing a couple houses out of hempcrete. But when I was talking to him, the hempcrete type idea isn't American hempcrete. It's not American grown. It was all French grown. So the price that he paid, shipping was more than buying the hempcrete to begin with, and customs was also more than buying the hempcrete. So the fact that he got it so cheap, paid over double in shipping and customs, and still got it here cheaper than we can provide it here in America for, it's an industry that's like, if you're getting beat out by the French on something that large of a scale, it's hard to see on that one. But anyways, USDA wants it to be a textile industry, industrial type something. So that's what their grow program regulates. I hope that here soon, and this will be the biggest push I ever have, or we'll ever have again next year, legislative season, talking to folks, lobbying for, is some sort of, just like how we did the dispensary rules for how we can have THCA products in the state of Tennessee. We're paying a tax on it. These type of products, if they're tested in the state and are approved in the state and sold in the state, regulated the right way, can be sold. Down the road, everybody's doing what they need to do. This is a great product. We're the only state in the country that sells THC and pays a tax on THC that's not a marijuana state, and you can buy it under over 21 years of age with no medical license. So it's this unique position that we're in the state of Tennessee that we really want to continue to push. But one of the biggest things is, back to what she was saying, can we grow it in the state? We cannot grow it in the state. Can we sell it in the state? Yes, we can sell it in the state as long as it meets those guidelines of tested in a Tennessee lab, less than 0.3% Delta 9, full panel analysis after October 1st. So it'll have to have, not only will it have your potency on it, have your potency analysis, terpene analysis, residual solvents. So sometimes when people are manufacturing edibles or whatnot, they use a low quality solvent like acetone or whatever, or a food grade alcohol is the best, but some folks will crash out in pentane and have residual in their isolate. Anyways, residual solvent tests, yeast, mold, microbials, and heavy metal analysis as well too. So they'll test even a brownie that you get. Every batch of a brownie will now have to be verified. There's no nickel or lead or mercury in there. Yay. So the efficacy of what that does to a brownie, I don't completely agree with, because if I make a brownie that weighs 2 ounces and there's 25 milligram in there, so here's 0.03 grams of concentrate into this 2 ounce brownie. If there was acetone or lead or nickel or mercury or whatever in that concentrate, well, it's not going to come back in the brownie because you've diluted it, that hundreds of times by its weight value. So I don't completely agree with their decision on some of those aspects, but still better for the future because people are doing a lot of things the wrong way with potency analysis, and also too, some of the flour people are able to kind of vaguely show off some of what a batch number is. So now there's been a lot of clarification on that. So a lot of good stuff coming down the pipeline from the state of Tennessee, and further clarifying and proving that what we're doing here is legal. So good stuff for the future in those regards, and just everybody on the same page, because it's not a fair fight to, somebody down the road's, they're selling a 10,000 milligram gummy. It's like, well, first of all, they're not, but yes, the bag does say that, but having some of that off our back would be great. And also too, people not, more so it happens, people get a bad name from it. I tried it down the street, it didn't do nothing for me. I tried it down the street and I threw up and vomited everywhere. It's like, one way or the other, you're not getting a good product. So we've done a lot of work to ensure that these are the standards that we do. Here's the minimums that the state needs to follow. There's some of those that almost all of them they listen to, but there's some of them that they vaguely worded for the benefit of others, but legislation, things happen. So good stuff though. But a lot of things coming up, I think only for the better for the customer, the end user, the safety, and that's the biggest concern that we've had is the safety of the citizen. Because as citizens of the state of Tennessee, you want a legal product that you're buying at the store to be what you want it to be, and not have get sick from it. Or there's products that don't have liability insurance on it. So somebody gets a product and something actually does happen, and you go to the manufacturer and it's like, oh, well, they're fly by night. They're a different name now and they're changed and they're gone. No, it's insured, done, legitimate products at a dispensary offered in the state of Tennessee. It's a great thing in the future. So I guess that's mainly about everything I got to cover on the legislative stuff. A lot of changes are coming in October 1st. Some final changes are January 1. Oh, this is probably the biggest thing, actually. So there are 2 lobbying groups here in the state of Tennessee that are for cannabis use. Both of the lobbying groups we've been a part of for years. They're great people. We work closely with both of them. Good resources to have in the community. And they are getting together to sue the Department of Agriculture to push them back from this guideline coming into effect and push it back even further. There's things that they're talking about changes. Even I was talking to Bobby he owns the 5 Leaf Wellness store today, like an hour ago before we got here. Whenever his Department of Agriculture lady come in for his inspection last week, he showed her some of the packages that he had, and was like, hey, these are our guidelines. This is what it says. Are we good? We're going to order all these labels and order custom packaging. And we'll get packaging. It's like, well, here's 5,000 cookie bags and it has everything pre-printed on it. So it's easy. He was getting the approval from her to get all that done. And she told him, she's like, I wouldn't go and order that many labels and that many bags because as of January 1, there's still changes to come. So as we fight still this uncertain battle that keeps every 6 months it changes. The law was made July of 2023. It was misread by some people at the Department of Ag and the TBI, caused a fuss last November. That kind of got resolved in February or March and got slid under the rug. And then now this is the emergency ruling as of July. And then there's going to be another one. There were some more final changes to October before January 1. So it's like there's definitely some vagueness with it. But I've been super happy with at least the direction that it's going because they're actually doing something about it rather than since that law's been passed for over a year now. And this is the first step that they're taking to say, hey, if you don't do this, you might get in trouble. So they're taking steps because, at the end of the day, as a safety of as a resident in Tennessee, if you don't have these products available, it's not like you're just not going to get them and turn down. But yeah, I'll never do that again. It's like you're going to find it somewhere. And if you're on the black market and you find it, well, it takes anybody. You don't have somebody that cares about what they do to provide a good product to you. You have whatever strain you're getting that week, or I want a sativa. Oh, I don't have it. It's like here's 5 sativas. You make your pick. So like the options for the people are just, it's a win-win. So price competition as well too, because of the black market being the control of the industry. Just 8 to 10 years ago here in Tennessee, is all this has just been changed in the last 4 or 5. I believe the pricing and everything has gone down just in the past 4 or 5 years since we've been doing what we want. So these people that were, 7, 8 years ago having to spend, $200, $300 a month on their supply, cut it in half. So I see only pros for everybody across the board. So anyways, well.
Gas stations still going to be able to sell it?
Huh?
Gas stations are going to be able to sell it?
Gas stations will be able to sell it. They will. It's just if you are a gas station, you will have to register as a dispensary. Now, as a gas station, because you allow people that are under 21 years of age to come in your gas station, any of your products that contain THC have to be behind the counter. So you can't walk up to a counter and grab a drink or grab a whatever, gummy or anything off the shelf. It's got to be behind the counter. And a lot of gas stations have already done that because the loss. If there's some THC gummies on the shelf, somebody's going to snag them and run, So the theft aspect's already kind of started that control. But it is clear in the guidelines that if you are establishment like a liquor store where you're already an over 21 and up establishment, it does not have to be behind the counter in those. But specifically, convenience stores has to be behind the counter. And if somebody in the store could be 21 or older, could get access to it. So there's some control regulations on that as well too, in a good way. Also, some of the control regulations on like childproof packaging. So it has to be childproof. So like normally we just put like a little cookie into a bag and we seal it, and you got to have scissors to open it. All right, cool. You got to have scissors to open it before you get it out. But now they're saying that, well, if you only ate half the cookie and put it back and you didn't reseal it, a child could get to it. So there's some of the things that have even been like they were clarified at first, and then 6 months later get re-clarified in a different way. So some of those things. But I've been so excited about these childproof things on the cans because we do the 10 different types of sodas. We've already done 3 of our lines. We did the 25 milligram Cannabis, the Doobie Blast. Oh, we just did the Dam Water as well too, and the resealable cans. So you can pop out. It's a childproof lid. You just pop open the lid, and then take a couple of drinks out of it, and it's got a little airflow on the back, so you can straight like chug a can. There's none of that like blurp blurp, the gurp like you do like with the beer can or whatever. So you can drink it as fast as you want. And then also too, when you seal back the lid, like they'll slide back the little 12-ounce aluminum can lid and seal it, you can shake the can, you can throw it in your purse, you can whatever. If you come back to it in a week or 2 or a couple of days, when you pop the can, you'll hear the carbonation come right off of it. So they do a really, really good job with the seal. And that allows them to be a childproof can as well too. So there's some of the things like that was, we knew we needed to work toward, but, perfection. It took a while to get we tested 3 different childproof cans before we found the best one. I like German engineering. I drive a BMW randomly, so I was like kind of drawn towards this company called XO. They're a German lid manufacturer, and out of the 3 that we tested, it's the best on the market. So the fact that you literally can Tim, our beverage director, he posted in the chat today. He's like, I put a doobie blast in the can. It's been 2 weeks. I opened it today, still fresh. I was like, killer, man. So some of that's been neat. Not that it's just like, oh yeah, it's childproof, so the kid can't get a hold of it. But yeah, you can close the lid on it and throw it in the floor and you're good. So that part's been real cool. There's a lot of other benefits following for and pushing these new rules. But that was a good question. You got any more of them?
So, I think keeping it safe is what we want as well. So
for sure, yeah.
Stuff like this,
and we've always tried to do some of the childproof, like like I said, the idea of like some of the products that we have, they're childproof, like you're not getting in them, but once you get in them, they're in them, but it's the ones that we do that to are one serving item. So I was like, well, it's just one serving. You're not going to open it and whatever. But now that it's like, if you can open it, you got to be able to reclose it. So that was the latest update, and it was kind of vague, but it was like 2 weeks ago. But it's still so vague. It's anyways.
Yeah, more clarification and re-clarification.
Right? I know. Well, that's why they're wanting to sue, because they're like, "Why? What are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? Y'all said this is what's going to be what happened. This is now what you're saying. Now there's an emergency ruling. We don't think as the Tennessee Department of Ag you have the right to be able to do this and go outside the legislation, because we made a law. This is what the law says." And they're saying, well, we're going to have emergency ruling. We're going to have a comment period. We're going to go talk to government operations. We're going to go talk to Secretary of State, and we're going to make all these changes. And it doesn't matter what we say, because what we say is going to work. So it's like, that's why they're suing them. And I don't know. I mean, it makes sense.
And I think 19,000 comments?
19,000 comments. I don't think they got a reply to one of them. So it's like, I don't know, whatever. The emergency ruling, I think, was the reply to it. But it was... And they were supposed to answer questions to that when we sent in emails. I'm sure a lot of other people sent in emails after the video conference or whatever with the head up there. So I've not gotten an email back, but maybe they'll push out a public email on that one soon to everybody. Usually they gather all the responses, and then if 19,000 people ask the same 50 questions, well, here's your 50 answers. Have fun, And then maybe the question you asked is in one of those, I'm sure. So, but anyways, they're upset about it. We're all upset about it just because it's like, look, this is just be clear about it. Like the law's clear, the interpretation of what you think is not clear, and it adds vagueness to it. Some of the vagueness is good, but not on everything. Not on every aspect.
And again, we want to be as legal and safe and quality as we can, and I think we go way above and beyond with the Snapdragon brand to do that. And, this helps us even the playing field. So,
sure.
But clarity is a good thing. Oh,
yeah, without a doubt. Which it was a fun part to be in, because started in 2021 as we had enough stores to kind of make some money to spend with the lobbyists. And then, 21, 22, and 23, we had our law wrote up. This is what we want. There's some changes along the way, and every time somebody said, "What's the law going to be?" Here it is. This is what it needs to be. So it was exciting to see it make it with the input that we had and others had to become a law. It's just that I don't know. Yeah, just the interpretations is all it comes down to. So, but yeah, it's on a good direction now though.
I got one more for you. The QR code on the back you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Explain that, because I've never seen that or heard of it. I didn't know that there is a QR code on the back that tells you everything you was talking about.
Yep. So the QR code on the bag, the idea of the QR code on the bag is like, so every one of our gummies that we have, our flour that we have, the concentrate that we have, all of our products have a QR code. Other companies work different ways. Some people you scan the QR code and it takes you to their website. Ours, you scan our QR code and it takes you to like that category. So let's say for gummies, for example, if you scan a QR code on a bag of Delta 9 10 milligram gummies, it'll take you to the website link that we've got, and it's like, here are the 3 batches that we've done of the Delta 9 gummies here lately, and you'll see your batch number on the bag, and you'll just click that test to match it to that batch number. And you know that, hey, this is batch number right here is this exact milligrams, 25. We never undershoot. If we undershoot, we consider it a fail. So we overshoot usually 5% or so. So if you get a 25 milligram gummy, it's going to be 26.2 or 26.8 or something like that. So just a little bit over on the potency, but you'll be able to see in the lab tests. I have that batch number on it with those color gummies that are in that bag. And then like flour, for example, you go to a bag of flour and scan a QR code and take you to our website and be like, here's the 4, 5, 6 different strains that we've got in batch numbers of these flours. And you just kind of click on it and see the analysis. In the past, we've only done the full panels on our concentrates, like our Delta 8 and THCAs and stuff like that, just to showcase like, well, these are the terpenes that are in it. This is a concentrate, so when you're dabbing it, you don't want leftover butane or propane or any of that stuff in there. So residual solvent analysis is good for concentrates because you're taking, 1 gram concentrate's got 900 milligram in it. So it makes, 18 50 milligram cookies off this one little bit. So the full panel, I believe, is important on the concentrates. Yeah. And then everything's done by batch now. So like whenever we do the brownies, for example, like as of right now, we do the brownies. We just make, twice a week. We'll make 75 brownies, 100 brownies, send them out to the stores and keep them fresh. One of the potential negatives that this is going to do for us, though, is a full panel lab analysis is between $400 to $500. So if I only make 100 brownies and I got to spend $500 on a lab test for those 100 brownies, that's, $5 for each brownie I just made, I've got to send in just to get a verification on this. So we're going to have to go from making 100 brownies at a time to, at least 300, 400, 500 just to make the value in it worth it without having to go up on the cost of the customer, because we only charge $5 for the brownie. So it's like I can't make this brownie for free, give the lab $500, and then it's like they're making more money than I'm making, And it's so frustrating about the brownie aspect of it, because you could put, again, 0.03 grams of concentrate into this brownie. It is not going to anything that your full panel. The only thing it's going to show you is there's cannabis in there, and it's going to show you that there's 0.25% of cannabis of Delta 9, under 0.3, but barely, but as strong as it can be without being whatever. And that's why our products are so strong. I hit that 0.299 number. With my first lab test, I got a 0.299, was in into 2019. I was so happy. I was like, you don't get more close than that. That's 1,000th place. 1,000th. That was hard. But of course, we send in, we average 450 to 550 tests a year that we send into New Bloom Labs on Bonnie Oaks. So we test a bunch of stuff with them, 20, 30 things at a time. So, one of the times they come back good early on. Or perfect. And I say good, you can't get better than that. But anyways, so some of the batch stuff like that was fun. But yeah, accuracy, QR, test results by the batch. So it's going to negate people. Let's say some company made 100 brownies back in February, and they're like, hey, we're good. We got our test. It says our brownies are good. And they sold those. They made 100 more in March, and 100 more in April, and 100 more in May, 100 more in June. And I still got my test. It still says I'm good. And then somewhere along the way, they change concentrate or change suppliers or change whatever, and it is not a passing test, or it is not what they say it was at one point in time. So you say it's 25 milligrams, but the concentrate you're using is half the potency of what it was. So then you have people who are like, oh, why is this brownie not hitting like it used to? And it's like, well, I got my test. It's like, yeah, it's test from 10 tests ago. You got to test every single batch, and that's the only way to get. We're CGMP or GMP certified for good manufacturing practices and stuff. So whenever we're going through that certification, we had to go through recall procedures. So recall procedures, what we can do at our company is we could go through and say like brownies that were baked on June the 3rd, batch number 060324 was made with butter with batch date this, concentrate batch date this, flour. Every single ingredient is broke down with a batch number on each ingredient. So then we can go to that concentrate and be like, hey, here's the full panel analysis on this concentrate that was used this day. We had a lab report come back on a periodical analysis that it was wrong. Then we can go back through and be like, hey, here's this batch number of this product. Here's this batch number of this brownie. Here's this batch number of everywhere this brownie was sold wholesale and retail that we've got. Let's recall these products. Boom, here's the email out to everybody type thing. So that's definitely been some stuff that we've worked on over the years, just as far as like, things happen. And I mean, there's definitely been some times where we've had, customer says, hey, this isn't as whatever it was. Or we usually catch it before the customer with all the batch step stuff. But there's definitely been some times where, the sealer wasn't working right and the brownie got too much air in it. Some of the brownies were stale. So there's, we recall 100 brownies or whatever because they're a little hard after a week. But brownies usually go for 3 weeks and then we throw them away. So we try to keep things fresh. After 2 weeks of a brownie, we knock them off like 30% and discount them. And after that third week, if there's any left, we'll give them away or throw them away or whatever. Usually employees will eat them. But it's going to be so frustrating trying to keep everything fresh, dropping. We do 12 different types of cookies and brownies and 4 different types of cereal treats, plus lemon bites, plus cupcakes. I mean, there's over 20 different things. And if we make just one thing a day for a month, it's like, oh my gosh, $8,000 in testing, $8,000 if we just make one thing a day. It's ridiculous. So out of all my things, because we're on the bakery side of stuff, that's frustrating. Because when we do chocolate bars, we just got chocolate bars done and we did 1,000 to 4 different flavors. So that's fine. I can make 1,000 chocolate bars and test it. When it comes to like making you a fresh cookie that's not a Chips Ahoy full of preservatives, that's one thing. Like all our cookies and brownies that we do, it's just like you would make them at home. It's not like, when you go look at a Chips Ahoy ingredient list, there's none of that stuff in there. It's just like, here's some crazy names of sugar. Here's some crazy whatever hydrogenated oil. Here's a bunch of random oils and vegetable oils. And it's like there's no butter in there. It's replaced with oil. Maybe there's some flour in there, and there's no egg. It's replaced with something else. It's just like, but that's the route we got to go. I'm going to start looking at some Chips Ahoy stuff. I like the fresh stuff. So some of those changes. But yeah, but a lot of good stuff coming though. And a lot of people are talking about it. Hopefully a lot of stores in these next few months will start. If they're smart, you're going to see a lot of discounts at places. You're going to start seeing these tobacco shops and these other hemp shops in town that are selling the 10,000 milligram gummy worms that are, I'm sure, nowhere near that. Because after October 1st, if they get an inspection and they have those things, they're supposed to be pretty strict about it, like a 3-striker out policy, and you're banned from. We all had to go through background checks. We all have to be licensed for our stores. All the above. I mean, it is a dispensary setup now, and they're on a 3-striker out policy. So if you fail for 3 different, whatever it may be, didn't have your right paperwork for your COAs on deck, you didn't have, whatever, testing, licensing, selling the wrong product, no COAs, they won't let you get back on the program anymore. So same thing on the grow. And that's why we're not going to do a license again for another couple of years on the USDA side of things, because it's a 3-striker out policy. And we failed last fall, and then we were going to fail this spring, but we did a voluntary disposal, and we're just like, hey, we're out. We're just not going to grow in the state right now. So weird stuff. But the only fix for that one's going to be, and it would be a great fix, if Tennessee would just say, hey, look, here's a grow program for the hemp that we sell in the state of Tennessee. The license is, because the license to grow hemp is only $250. So they make the license, I don't know, $25,000, and it's like a cannabis license for growing hemp in the state. Oh my gosh, they have more people sign up than they'd ever even thought of. So that's a good goal. That's what we dream about, to have a license grow in the state that, you grow it, you smoke it, sell it all in one. Vertically integrated would be cool, but that's some of the idea. Oh man, crazy stuff. But good stuff though. Good stuff. Safety for everybody. Yeah. All right. Well, it's been good chatting with y'all today. And for any additional questions you may have, whether it be for a location you have or a store you have, or as a customer wanting to ask more questions or find out more, definitely check out our website, snapdragonhemp.com. Instagram page is SDCC. Facebook as well too. Alec is our customer service rep online. And if you've ever talked to a hemp company and didn't get the questions answered that you wanted when you communicated with them, or didn't feel like they were educated enough to give you a correct response, trust Alec online. Any questions that you have, He will be able to answer it. If he can't, he'll ask me and I'll answer it for you. We love customer service, and because that's some of my favorite part is the customers that want to know, the customers that want to be educated, the customers that have these cool questions that are they got to think sometimes outside the box to answer, help them out with. That's our favorite. So if you got them, shoot them our way, and contact at snapdragonhemp.com. Josh here. See you next time.